coming up is going to be UGA versus the team that won. So I have a question. Who do you think is going to come out on top?
UGA is the big dogs here.
Yeah.
We got to be real with ourselves. UGA is the big dogs here. Like that's a big name to try and take down. But after having watched that, I mean, I believe in anything. I believe in miracles. I want to know the score from the other game, though. That's what really is kind of the tide setter for me.
I think if we had had more of a linear progression throughout this game, right? If it had been one team in control the entire time, it would be more of a safe call to say, like, okay, UGA, they're the big dogs, probably going to win.
Yeah.
But the way Howard adapted, it makes me... I'm not counting him out. I'm not counting him out. The other game was...
Oh, we just got away from production. Oh, no.
Okay,
UGA got
can
him.
I walk back?
All right.
Apparently, the other game was 13-0 for all of our
tough scenes.
fans.
It was tough. It was tough.
It happens.
Hey.
Sometimes you get a misread.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think that Howard has to do in order to make sure that they can come out on top then?
I don't think you start 0-5 again.
Probably not. That's probably not the best start, especially
Win a
UGA.
pistol. Win a pistol.
Yeah.
That would help.
Get things going early is the name of the game.
Yeah. Okay, all right, okay. So we're about to throw it out to some more Valorant action. So guys, you liked the last matchup, didn't you? Okay, yeah. Well, let's give it up for some more Valorant action. It's gonna be UGA versus Howard coming up next.
My name is Dr. Kevin James, and I'm president of Morris Brown College. We found out that less than 1% of leadership in the field of esports were people of color. And so I said, wouldn't it be fabulous for Morris Brown to become the first historical black college to have a degree in esports? And we created a curriculum for global business and applied leadership with a concentration specifically in esports leadership, esports performance. We want to make sure that we are a funnel, that we are a direct pipeline of future leaders in the esports space. You're going to learn about business. You're going to learn about all of the behind the scenes to really be an entrepreneur. More people watch esports and they watch the Super Bowl. And so it just is a testament of how big the industry is and how big of an opportunity it is. We create this pipeline where students can go out into the world and compete.
My name is Darrell Booker. I'm with Microsoft Philanthropies, and I lead racial equity work designed to bring tech to the black community all across the country. I got introduced in tech and gaming by just getting that first computer. I was learning basic levels of coding, and for me, that just sparked that interest. And from there, it just really took off. We need more of our young people actually creating these games. All aspects of it. There's graphic design, there's music, there's production, there's QA. All of these things. We won't have diversity in gaming until we are actually behind the scenes creating these games. And I think the biggest thing is just demystifying the fact of how hard it is to even gain the skills to be in that industry. We just got to get this stuff in front of our young boys and girls so that they can compete and be a part of this industry too. Cxmmunity is doing a great job of providing all those foundational transferable skills. Their platform that they're building around education is really allowing young people to see themselves in this gaming space. They're giving them the tools that they need to be able to build up their confidence at an early age to be in the gaming industry. Making the partnerships that they're doing amazing things like this Kickback. They're really setting an example for other people to follow.
And welcome back, everybody. After having played downstairs in the little play area, y'all should check it out, by the way. We've got, of course, coming up, University of Georgia. This is a big team to try and take down. Yeah. Certainly a step up from the last game.
Yeah, I mean, something we have to talk about with collegiate Valorant is always the big schools, right? The University of, of X State, the X State just as themselves, right? They're always going to have the resources, the player base. They're going to be tough to take down. Let's take a look at the bracket, folks, to see how things have shaped up today. Howard, of course, you just saw take the W closely, narrowly over Morgan State University, and now they have the unenviable task of trying to take down University of Georgia.
That's probably the best way to put it. Benedict tried. They went out in a bombastic fashion, to say the least. University of Georgia running through that match with relative ease. And I gotta say, shout out Benedict College. Came, and of course, we're supporting all of these schools, so they are going to get some portion of that prize pool because it's about supporting the community, not just about being the best team today, right? And so it's very important, especially to community, to the Kickback, that we're supporting all of these teams, making sure that they get their chunk of change to support these programs as we should. Howard University and UGA Georgia, though, will be fighting for the largest share of that money, of that 5K prize pool.
Oh, and I'm so excited, Dor. You know, you and I talk about it a lot. We talked about it at the top of the day. When we have collegiate Valorant matches, when they're best of ones, we almost always end up on Ascent. That's not the case.
It really is a curse, man.
It's a curse, but a curse that we have broken. Instead of Ascent, we're headed to Bind.
Yeah, and I don't have the map pick ban order, but anytime it comes out, you have to imagine someone just bans Ascent early. I love when teams are willing to do that. Our map pool in general here, I think it was cool. I was talking a little bit to the tournament organizer about how they formed it, because generally speaking, you see the Tier 1 pick it up, you see Tier 2 pick it up, and then you see Collegiate pick it up, and then you see like High School pick it up. It kind of trickles down from there. Collegiate, as far as the map pool right now, still pretty averse to the longer, more fluid maps. So the Breezes of the world, the Fractures of the world, they aren't super comfortable with. I think Pearl's one that they'll get comfortable with pretty quick, but it's just not really in the pool quite yet for some of these teams. And so what they went ahead and did is just shorten that map pick ban process, got a couple of those out, went to the more comfortable maps for a lot of these teams. And so that gives them the opportunity to, instead of banning by default, hey, we don't play Fracture, get Fracture out of here. You know, we don't play Breeze, get it out of here. They can spend their bans towards more preferential things. Hey, we play Ascent, we play Bind as well. Let's get Ascent out early. We just watched Howard win on Ascent in a pretty fantastic fashion. Let's take that momentum away from them. We're gonna quickly throw it out. No Ascent for you.
Well, and let's take a quick look back at what our format is for today, for our tournament. Just as a reminder for anyone who may be sitting in the crowd, maybe you got to go get some water last time we were talking about it. It is best of ones for Valorant, so we're just going to play the one map standard competitive mode and a 7-map pool. So Pearl, we're not even worried about Pearl.
Who needs it? I really do like Pearl.
I'm a little bit sad that neither of our matches went to Split. I miss Split. I miss it. I'm one of the people who misses Split. But
I'm right there with you. I think, no.
Bind's exciting enough. I'm at least glad that we got away from Ascent.
Yeah, and Bind does offer a much more polarizing look at Valorant. We talked about how fluid and how kind of you can do almost anything on Ascent. You can play more heavily for those duels. You can play for skirmishes. You can play for executes. You can play for retakes. It's kind of your oyster when you talk about Ascent. When you move over to Bind, executes are the name of the game.
And this is where one of our buzzwords from earlier today, preparation, is going to be super important, right? Bind is not an easy map to actually safely secure not just the executes, but especially the retakes, man. Retaking the B site is so difficult.
Good luck.
If you don't have the right preparation, if you don't know where you want to approach from, with who, at what time, all perfectly in sync.
And it is not an uncommon situation to see pro teams, like, not even a man down, just refuse to retake that site. Like, yeah, we got 3 guns, but 3v3 on that. We'll just save our money.
Truly. And, you know, Bind is a place where I think we can see things like the Rays come out, right? Like, we saw a surprisingly small amount of entry. We actually only had 1 entry character in our first game, despite playing on Ascent.
I thought that Yoru always played pretty good effect as an entry.
Yoru was actually a pretty effective entry, You're not wrong.
Yeah, and to highlight, I mean, I think it was a very selfless Yoru at that. Going to gather information, falling back, not trying to greed for anything.
Selfless, but also very frag heavy.
Still Yoru play. Yeah. So game number 2, though, you brought up the opportunity of the Rays, right? The agent pool shifts a good bit when you move from Ascent over to Bind.
Well, I mean, you know, Howard have already shown us a Brimstone, too.
That exactly,
Brimstone's great on this map. You talked about those executes. You just chuck your smokes down. Very potent.
The second round of smokes often less important on Bind than it is a map like Ascent, where it's kind of a little bit more difficult to hold for long periods of time without the smokes.
Definitely. And I mean, you know, we can also see double controller here too, right? Brimstone alongside the Viper, or even Astra alongside the Viper. That was super popular on Bind for a really, really long time. Astra, of course, not in the best state. She's not unplayable.
There's a lot of people that are okay with that.
She's not unplayable. She's just not the powerhouse she used to be, obviously. She requires a lot more.
I'm not going to complain about seeing Brimstone.
Coordination. You're never going to complain about seeing Brimstone. Can we get a Viper from me, though? That's the question.
You can ask nicely. I think they can hear you a little bit, you know?
Pretty please.
Oh, man. But no, outside of controllers, obviously plenty of options. On Bind, Double Initiator can be a pretty strong option. If you want to run Sova Sky, especially pushing out onto A site, it is a super duper powerful tool. The Chamber still...
Honestly, any combination of initiators, right?
Yeah.
I think all 4 of the primary flash initiate, actually all 5, even Breach can work his way onto Bind. A little bit more tricky to run the Breach.
But I think that goes back to what we were talking about, especially in Collegiate. Comfort picks really do become a much more prominent tool. While there is still some semblance of meta compositions because this is still a high level of play, comfort picks like that Yoru that we saw earlier on can really take control of the game. So I do expect at least 3 or 4 of those to pop out.
Was it Paper Rex that run Yoru on Bind?
I mean, Paper X just run whatever they want.
That's true. that is facts right there. But Yoru Bind has been a thing. I mean, we don't have Morgan State here, so I'm not expecting a Yoru unless University of Georgia want to give us something spicy.
But I would call the Brim a semi-pocket pick at this point on a map like Ascent.
It's not uncommon on
it's not uncommon, but I think to see it, to see a team play it, but to play a comfort pick on a map that it's strong on, to take something that was like, hey, I'm playing this because we're good at it, and then bring it over to Bind, where it is like prominent and already just a super meta pick, I think you get even more value out of it.
And Bind is going to be an interesting map for what we know about Howard University too. Just because we've talked about how Howard University did such a good job in the first game with their information gathering, right? Starving the enemy team of information off denying things like the Haunt, and then gathering so much with their 0 point off their own initiators. So Bind can be very powerful if you can find that same sort of information gap.
But it's really hard to.
But a little bit more difficult to actually reliably pick up actionable intel, right? Like you can pick up, oh, look, there's 3 players on the A site. There were
Congratulations.
going to be 3 players on the A site, right? So you kind of have to try and catch people like off guard over in like showers, or if you can find a really nice play into hookah.
Well, information comes at a risk on this map is really what it is, right? There no longer is like, okay, we know they're on this side of the map, so we're going to push out on this side. On Bind, nothing's safe to push through for the attackers or the defender. Everything comes at a cost, whether that's util or a frag. It's going to be pretty expensive to do. I do think that plays pretty well, though, into Howard's hands in terms of just the way that they were statically holding sites, their ability to stop pushes in their place. The retakes weren't the prettiest from them, but when it came to static defense, stopping executes from the other side, which often is the name of the game on Bind. It's execute versus static defense. It really is kind of then or never on this map. I think Howard looked good, but that information game, like you said, isn't going to be as great for them. So it really is a give and take.
For sure. Bind's an interesting map too, because you can play aggro on the defense on Bind, right?
Yeah,
like
you can just
those aggro swings out of hookah especially, but also like actually every single Bind is a map with like 4 very distinct lanes. It's a very linear map. It's a front, you're going this way. There's not a lot of opportunity for like cheeky lurks and wraparounds and flanks, right? It's a
I'd love to see them prove us wrong.
We go point B most of the time, right?
Yeah.
It's pretty out of the norm that we see a crazy wrap through spawn. We are going to head on to Bind here. I'm very intrigued to see what the comp is. I already see that Raze locked in. Love to see a Raze on Bind. She's so powerful on this map for holding those lanes, right? Because the explosive utility Raze offers just denies one of your 4 options with the click of a button.
Yeah, a lot of control over the thin hallways that Bind kind of forces you through. Those choke points that we were talking about that you have to push through. Say you throw your entire execute out, well, Raze throws a grenade, and all of a sudden that hallway looks a little bit less appetizing. I have described Bind as the least appetizing looking map, though. It kind of is just brown all over.
I mean, you know, I'm from Arizona, man.
Is it?
That's what 80% of my state looks like.
That's just like, yeah, it's what, home team advantage now?
Well, I'm not playing, so I don't think it counts, but...
Well, when you play, it's fine. Let's take a look at what the other team's locking in, though. We haven't got everything confirmed, but for the one side, we did see some degree of double initiator with the Sky, with the Fade.
Yeah, University of Georgia are going to be playing that double initiator. The Brimstone as the single controller there. Of course, Chamber, always going to be good. There's not really a map where Chamber's bad, right? And he's just such a powerful tool for taking gunfights, for controlling the map, and also a great economic buffer. Chamber's been falling out a little bit at the highest level, but still a really solid pick.
And over on the other side, oh my, we are getting a treat of a matchup here. All right, so double controller versus double initiator. This will be fun. So, of course, double infers that we have kind of doubled down on something. We've double dipped into that set of utility. Initiator's generally good at getting your team in through controlling utility, bursting you onto sites with things like flashes and blinds and other utility slows and the such. Over on the other side, though, running double controller is especially good at keeping them from doing that. So we're really kind of a rock in a hard place. Immovable object, unstoppable force scenario.
Super interesting. And we're starting on opposite sides of, or no, actually, we're starting on the exact sides that you would expect these compositions to more so excel on when it comes to bind, right? The double initiator, that aggressive composition that wants to take space, move forward, gain map control, starting off on the attack. So I think whoever comes out ahead on this first half, definitely going to be favored to just win the game outright.
Alrighty, let's get things started. Ladies and gentlemen, we didn't give him an introduction earlier, so let's give him one now. A warm welcome to Howard and UGA.
Full cap.
Bird over top, early pressure on the B site here. There are 3 members surrounding it though, and a 3-member, I'm not going to call it a stack, but 3-member presence on B site is certainly dangerous to push into as Dowd connects the first shot through smoke.
Spike down B.
Right That's here. A spike too, so a lot of good information there for Howard. Yeah. A little bit slow on the rotate. They're not quite committing to holding the site. So UGA, they're able to actually just contact past a lot of these angles that would normally be a problem. You can see Howard looking for information elsewhere. Good trade from Dial to move in second, so at least a 4v3, but we talked about it earlier. Bind, especially the B site, hard to retake.
Launching even 4v3, this can be pretty tricky. That half HP raise though on UGA is a lot more important than you might think it is, and pistol rounds health is an important resource. What a disgusting shot though from Pringles! UGA holding on a wide peek by Shrooms!
Nice.
That was nasty. I love that. A little bit of creativity in the first round. Just has the guts to go for it. When you're at that low HP, you can't peek close. You can't take that spam damage. You need to make sure they miss every shot, and peeking wide is certainly a great way to do that.
And there we already see in our pistol round just how difficult it is to retake the B site. It's because of these choke points that we talked about before, right? It's such narrow entries onto the site, especially for the defenders, and there's so few angles you can approach from reliably. Despite having a player advantage, Howard not able to even pick up a kill in that retake.
Bomb buddy out.
It will be tough. There you go, the bonus round up for the attacking side. UGA are going to look to push in here. No stack from Howard. You know me. I'm a fan of a good second round stack.
Stack on his
But a lot of B pressure and no real rotate from Howard. They haven't really put their chips in either basket. When you're playing, pistols versus better weaponry, generally speaking, taking a little risk here and there, you have to at some point in the round. Howard have kind of refused to do that. Now they're trying to go 5v5 retake against better weaponry on the B site. That is,
it's not gonna happen.
Not a great situation.
Right. It's just not gonna happen unless Howard hit the most insane shots ever and UGA close their eyes or walk into the smoke. I mean, I don't believe Filet Mignon had an actual gun there, so it's just get one enemy remaining.
They do lose too. We usually call, as a pistol into better weaponry, taking 3 weapons away from the enemy team is kind of the marker of a winning round for you. They took 2, so it's not break even, but it's all right. It's not too bad, all things considered.
I'm interested to see how Howard can adapt to this B site, right? Because we've already seen 2 very confident executes from UGA. They could just run it back for a third as well. It is a bonus round for UGA. They really just want to try and deal damage to Howard's economy. But the UGA executes have looked very clean thus far, right? The paint shells clearing out backside, the flashes cutting your close corners, the entry coming in from Shrooms has been phenomenal thus far. So there's not a greater commitment to the B site as of yet. And I'm wondering how in future rounds Howard are going to try and deal with this this B execute.
It's not a B execute right now for the time being.
Grenade!
A little pressure towards the outside of the map. Doyle with a nice pick on the ball in.
Where are you?
Howard forced back now. They have so little map control. We talked about that static defense, but it hasn't even been offered up at the A site. Instead, playing very far back. Taishi's got to maintain 2 angles at once. A very tall order for pretty much anybody. But UGA go down members as they try to enter that site. And good on Howard. They didn't really need that much util to stop it.
4v3 already in favor of Howard.
Smoke's down.
UGA are likely going to be able to get this plan. Actually, Good Flavor's not committing. Nice little lurk from Shrooms. Those are the sort of lurks that are really powerful on bind as well, right? The ones where you first hit a site, it doesn't
leave a
quite
player
go your
behind,
way,
yeah.
and you leave a player behind
30
as you
seconds
rotate.
left.
Now Shrooms has so much control of the A site. It can just be a slow rotate over from UGA, despite like only 20 seconds left. They're gonna get this plant just fine.
Yeah, Howard can't risk trying to go over and push this Raze out all just for that, especially when you don't know what corner she's lurking in.
And honestly, I wouldn't be averse to a save here.
I am right there with you. I was going to say the same thing. I know its A site's a little easier than the B site, but because you have no idea where this Raze is, she could be heaven, she could be in any one of these corners at this point. There's so little map control that you have. It's a little time against a composition that's pretty good at holding this 3v3. You're going to try anyways, but it doesn't look particularly profitable.
And unfortunate elephant in the room time. It does seem like we've had a player disconnect. It was like right as the round started.
Was it a UGA player?
No, it's a Howard player. You can see this guy sitting back in spawn right now. So we'll pause after this round. We'll get that sorted. Another unfortunate bonus round loss for Howard, but we saw them come back from this in the first game, right? And considering, you know...
we definitely wanted a stronger start, but like, they are a team that really showed us a lot of that adaptation. If they could do exactly that, like, yeah, they're still going to be in a similar boat. I don't know if that's one like I'm comfortable in, but if they seem to be sailing it just fine.
Well, and Howard, at least in our first match, you know, we only have a sample size of 1, but they seemed a team that was more confident.
Are you telling me 1 is not a statistically significant sample size?
You know, it's not the best. But, you know, you could also look at it as we have a sample size of 24 rounds. Right? The first 5 rounds, the ones with the least information about their opponent, right? Yeah. Looked the worst. And then they looked better from there. So I definitely think Howard are going to be able to level up through the rest of this game.
Timeout comes in. We're just getting the player to reconnect for them. I believe this is the tack pause from them, but we give them the tack pause anyways, sure, just because we know it's a disconnect.
During a tack pause, you're able to like talk to your team. A lot of esports, right? If there's like a tech pause, you generally don't want the players like conferring too much with each other because it can provide an advantage for one side or the other. Yeah. So this actually gives an opportunity for Howard to figure out a plan, and it would have been a reasonable place to tack pause regardless.
Yeah, I mean, we saw them tack pause early in the previous game, actually. And it worked really well.
That's when they swung back, right? Yeah. After that tack pause round, or at least shortly after the tack pause round.
So pause comes undone. I believe we've got everybody connected and in the server. Nope, time's still at 14 seconds, so we're reconnecting players. No big deal here, plenty of time. We saw a UGA actually in the bottom right corner. Fantastic camera shot. Thank you, production crew. Just showing them chatting about the game. Even this early on, you can get a pretty good read on somebody after 3 rounds. You'd be surprised what teams are not giving up in terms of information, but just you have to get used to playing against them, especially for UGA. Yes, their game went 13-0. Yes, it was significantly faster, and they did get to come back and watch Howard later on in that, but they didn't really know how Howard played early on into a game.
And speaking frankly, what you've learned about UGA in these first 3 rounds is that they are a very good team, right?
Yeah.
The first 2 rounds were pretty much flawless execution. And then the 3rd round was a very intelligent, slight pivot to go into an execute, a seemingly failed execute, but then that lurk left behind by Shrooms. Such an intelligent play by the University of Georgia to just leave a slight alteration. You think you've gotten the better of this execute, but in reality, it was just Shrooms looking for that amazing timing that he was able to pull off.
Yeah, it's making sure that like if you lose something, not just a round, right? If you lose map control, that you're gaining something for it. So yes, they lost that push, they lost the util, but they gained having the Raze on that one angle. And while it's not guaranteed value, there's still a chance, and the chance pays off. Big time for them. Now heading on later into the rounds for me, I want to see some quick adaptation out of Howard. I don't think waiting 5 rounds is okay, but certainly not giving up an anti-eco doesn't feel great to them.
I think I want to see Howard play a little bit more fast.
Yeah.
I want to see them take a little bit more fights. Commit, 2-3 players on like hookah or showers. I want to see him kind of take it to the University
They've been hesitant
of Georgia.
to peak those aggressive angles early on.
Especially early, like you were saying, right? They spend the first few rounds gathering information on there.
This is quite the conversation that's going on.
They're having fun, right? That's one of the great things about a LAN environment like this. You can get all the players in the same zone. I can just have a great time. What was I saying? I lost my train of thought.
I think we were talking about executes and going faster.
Oh, yeah. I want to see Howard maybe play a little bit more for that early map control, right? There are certain places on Bind where you can stage and execute from, right? I would like to see Howard contest a bit more and make UGA use utility.
They can pay early.
Before they actually get to the places where they're setting up and staging their executes. So that way they don't maybe have perfect utility when they want to go to site.
And on top of that, I think UGA in general, you're going up against them, letting UGA control the game from the rip is not exactly where you want to be. This is a team that has a lot of experience, is very good. You need to catch them off guard and take control of the game in some way, shape, or form. You need to be relatively unorthodox if you want to find a lot of value against them, if you want to kind of knock them off their high horse.
Right now it's just vibes though. Right now, just take a second, figure out what's up, and we'll get back into the game shortly. I'm just so excited though. I mean, I have already loved the extremely clean play we've seen from UGA in just these first 3 rounds. Again, our 3 buzzwords, they already look so prepared.
I'm going to be honest, I don't even think it was just prepared. I think they looked really skilled. In terms of the gunplay that was coming out from them and their ability to isolate one-on-ones with one another and take favorable angles time and time again, individually this team looks pretty monstrous. I think, what we saw at Howard in that pivotal 6th round earlier on was they started taking those 2-on-1s, 3-on-1s, managing to isolate those players out, but they're struggling to against UGA. I think partially due just map change as well. The angles start to be a little bit different, but on top of that, UGA are just putting themselves in positions that it is difficult to isolate them in that fashion.
Yeah, we do only have, again, talking about sample size, we only have 3 rounds of sample from UGA, but they also 13-0'd their opponent in the first round, so you have to assume
that's pretty heavy-handed sample.
They probably know what they're doing, if I had to guess.
I like to think they just ran out with their knives every round and just kind of duked it out, and they were really good at that.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if they just had a knife round 13 rounds in a row?
That seems unfeasible for anybody. Win 13 knife rounds in a row?
I'm not even sure a full Radiant team could take on a full Bronze team and win 13 knife rounds in a row.
Full Radiant versus full Bronze, knife rounds only. What do you even think the average score is there? Do you think they're that much better?
So here's the thing, right? You don't practice with your knife that much, but the movement of a Radiant player is still going to be way better. So I think they're still going to win the majority of the rounds. I
think it's a comms gap more than anything.
Comms gap. Yeah, that's fair.
You just surround one poor player and they're gone instantly.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, and that's where you get the Bronze, just the hive mind going on occasion, right? We are getting word that individual round is actually going to be replayed. So we're going to redo that one. It was 2-0. And then we're going to go back into that same round.
I think that this is a good call, to be completely honest. Yeah. As much as we talk about UGA being down that one man, it's not just down a man in any round. It's not like it was an eco round, man. It was their buy round against the bonus, and we talked about how important that was. If you just let UGA win that, it's too pivotal around. It gives them an entire economy to build the rest of the game off. So it's not just one thing. Yeah. So I think it's actually a pretty good choice by the TO.
Definitely. I'm glad we can do that, right? That we have the technology to do that.
I know. We have technology.
A lot of online tournaments, you kind of just look at it and go, well, oopsie. All right, players back. Got to keep going. But here we have a little bit more control in this LAN environment. Shout out again to Cxmmunity, Riot, Kickback Cup. This is
this is quite the undertaking.
Honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely not easy for anybody, players involved, and it's not easy working with these kind of pauses, right? For the players, it's opportunities to kind of work against one another. There's a lot of mental games going on between all the 10 players up on stage to figure out exactly what they want to do after a time like this and maintaining momentum. I think Howard, that's one of the things that they did phenomenally despite all the breaks, despite their own tactical pause where they came out trying to reset that tempo. They used the time really well.
Well, and now, you do have to wonder what's going to be the play from University of Georgia, right? Because you're not going to get that same lurk from Shrooms, not twice. At least I hope they don't get that same lurk from Shrooms twice in a row, right? So what is going to be the alternate game plan, right? Are you going to go for just another quick execute? It's been fairly fast thus far from University of Georgia, right? Third round was technically slower, but they were still on to that first attempt at the A site pretty quickly.
For me, I expect big changes in just how they use their utility early. Not necessarily taking map control, but like I was talking about before the match, contesting those aggressive executes a little bit more. I've seen a Viper Molly used, but I haven't seen a Brim Molly used to stop it. There's a lot of raise utilities still on the table. There are a lot of ways that you can stop these pushes that haven't really been taken advantage of, and I see the opportunity. They don't want to try and duel out and take on UGA in a 5v5, but like you said, I think that early round is where you need to take control and have a little bit more confidence in yourself and trust yourself, because that is the best time to strike, because allowing UGA to get to a comfortable state of like post-plant, not where you want to be ever.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Especially, I mean, you know, we've said it already, especially on a map like Bind, right? But also especially against the picks that UGA has, right? I don't want to try and retake on Bind into a Raze, right?
No, thank you.
Generally, the paint shell's been used pretty early, so at least that be out of the way. But then you're still worried about like the cheeky hot, like the ratty angles that a Raze can get to on Bind, right? On top of truck, on those boxes. There's so many difficult considerations to try and retake.
Yeah, and I mean, as we go back into things, let's reset and kind of talk a little bit about what we had on the offset of the match, right? We had the double controller versus double initiator matchup. I'm feeling half a controller right now.
That's, like, you know, fair.
I thought the Brimstone alone on Ascent was doing a great job of locking things down, but the coordination, when it isn't there and you're playing double coordinator, double controller, it can feel like a little bit less when things get out of touch, when everything's not really in step with one another, because you have to layer those abilities properly to time them out.
I think part of that is just because, you know, we've
only seen 3 rounds. Yeah.
Well, and they're early rounds too, so you don't have a lot of utility, right? I think as we get into rounds where there's a little bit more of a economy for our defending team of Howard University, you're going to be able to use some of those smokes a little bit more proactively. You're going to be able to use the mollies to try and keep players out of like hookah, or at least like under hookah, so that if they try to jump onto the site, they can get punished for that too, right? Whereas, you know, in pistol rounds, what do you have? 1 smoke most of the time if you want to buy light armor? Two smoke? Well, what if you want to? You don't have all 3 of your smokes and the molly and armor.
Yeah, but don't buy the armor. Come on. No, I think armor is usually the play. You don't need that much, especially if you're just trying to stop the push, right? That the armor on the Classic is pretty valuable. And to their credit, actually, the Brimstone did a great job that round. They got a lot of kills despite them losing. But yeah, you're right. When the util starts to come online for that double controller, it will be more prominent. But I think it does need to be prominent pretty quickly here. We're running out of rounds for it to not be in play.
Yeah, well, and I'm really... Look, since we got a second here.
Go for it, Paul.
You know me, Dort.
I do know you.
I can always nerd out about a Viper. Always and forever. Those, especially the toxic screen, right? The big wall that Viper can put up and obscure massive sightlines on the map. How you play around a toxic screen goes to show that coordination that we've been talking about, right? How are Howard University going to use all of this obfuscation? There we go.
Word.
I got it eventually.
$10 word, yeah.
You know, I'm not an English major. Whatever. How they obscure the map, right? And how you play around all of this lack of vision is either going to give Howard University advantage, or it's just going to be a non-factor if they can't find the advantageous timings.
I mean, making them pay for pushing in is the big thing. What makes a smoke scary in a tactical shooter is the threat of there being a gun on the other end.
Exactly.
If there's not a gun on the other end at some point in the game, the other team's going to realize, wait a minute, the smoke doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Right? And so that's why it's critically important, like you were saying, to have those early smokes up, to punish them for walking through it. Because then once you've punished them a couple times for walking through your smokes, once you've gotten the disrespect out of Georgia's jeans, okay, now you can throw down smoke and you can start to move away from them, trusting that they'll actually hold the angle that you want them to hold. But for the time being, with Georgia's momentum, with how they've been playing, I don't think they're going to respect the utility, even when it does come out, even when that economy does begin to build.
And in the early rounds, right, I think double initiator is just advantageous to play, especially on the attacking side, right? You get 1 flash on each of your initiators. You only need 2 flashes and a paint shell to take the site, especially on an early round, right? I don't want to go up against 2 flashes and a paint shell on Bind B. And that's why you saw Howard University peeling back a lot of the time, is because, you know, if you stand on the site, you're not going to accomplish anything. You're going to get flashed, maybe flashed again, blown up by a paint shell, swarmed by 5 players. You're lucky if you get 1 there, and that's not an advantageous trade for a defending team, right? So it's not, you know, Howard University haven't been playing wrong. I think that Georgia just get a somewhat innate advantage in these first couple of rounds.
Yeah, I mean...
And they're also playing their comp really well.
Yeah, and Georgia's just kind of cracked right now. I hope we get a little bit more of those opportunities, though, to spot out the 1v1s early that Georgia have been finding.
Definitely.
Because they're looking for them. They really, really are. It was early in the rounds and also early on in the post-plant. They're setting themselves up. We saw... I believe it was a Sky walking into the Brim smoke. It was maybe a little too much sauce, but I do appreciate the gusto, the cojones to go for a play like that.
And, you know, that's one of those things where maybe these teams haven't played each other too much. You feel out the enemy team.
Yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
Can I get away with this?
Is this something I can do later?
Can I sneak into this smoke? Will anyone catch me here? Oh, yeah. Okay, they're looking. They're looking.
But you
They're
did it when
set
it
up. All right.
mattered a lot less.
Exactly. You know, especially considering I don't think that Sky had a stinger instead of a Spectre, right? 600 extra bucks. Every penny counts in a game as long as... I mean, if we go 13-11, every penny can very much count.
I don't know if we have time to go 13-11, Paul. We got a whole best of 3 of league to play after this. And then make sure, by the way, of course, stay tuned, follow, keep up with all the updates, follow everything on Twitter. Of course, shout out to everybody who's promoting it because there is a lot more games played. And, of course, concerts later tonight.
Yeah, I'm excited for that concert. That's going to be dope. I mean, you were talking about how yesterday the building was shaking with how exciting the atmosphere was.
It was a lot of fun, and I mean, like we said, there's plenty more to go. We're getting things restarted up here on stage. See all the players in the lobby, making sure we can set up that 2-0 nicely and replicate it in exactly the same fashion. Want to make sure everybody has the same amount of cash going into things and make sure that everything's proper and fair.
Yeah, I mean, $5,000 in our prize pool, right?
It's big stakes.
It's big stakes, and it's good that we can get these kind of round resets to pull it back and give everybody a fair chance, or as fair of a chance is technically possible when something oopsies, right?
Hey, you know what? That money, it goes to the programs, it goes to making sure that they have good peripherals, all the stuff that they need to compete at this level is really provided to them. Of course, big stakes means big stakes for dinner. You got to celebrate afterwards. Atlanta, dude, all the food I've had in Atlanta. We went to a little Indian restaurant, like literally 20 feet away. It was yesterday for dinner. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Sure. And the hospitality down here, just phenomenal.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you and I went to Waffle House this morning. It's a Waffle House. I know it's not, it's a Waffle House, but also as someone who has a Waffle House technically in their state, right?
It's not the same when you go west.
It's not the same.
The southern hospitality is different.
It's not the same.
Yeah. We got it better down here.
A little bit.
I'm right up in Virginia. I've started calling DC the sweet tea line. Once you go north of DC, the sweet tea cuts off and the hospitality rivers run dry. But down here in the south, it's still sweet as syrup and everything's being done right. So that everyone's been phenomenally nice. Especially RTO has been wonderful about getting the teams in, making sure that they're set up nicely, and I mean not just enabled to play, but enabled to just enjoy the weekend on top of that. A lot of them, even though they are technically local, are traveling from a few hours out at the very least for a lot of these teams on a weekend.
Georgia's big state.
Yeah, it's not
Vermont.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what of the teams though are kind of coming down if they're just here for the games, if they're traveling, if they're going to go to Worlds kind of thing. I'd love to see them kind of get involved, and it is a good opportunity for them to do something like that, especially having Worlds in the United States for the first time in God knows how long.
6 years? Yeah, it'll be great. We're going to go to a quick break here, folks. When we come back, we're hoping to have that gameplay ready for all of you. Stick around. We got the Kickback Cup.
My name is Ryan Johnson. I attended Oakwood University. I'm the founder and CEO of Cxmmunity Media and also co-founder and partner of the Kickback, with the mission to increase minority representation in the esports and video game space and also future-proof diversity in that space through competition and careers. Gaming is a huge STEM pillar within the public school and private school system. How do we raise the awareness so more, specifically Black gamers, know that there's opportunities to make money, to get jobs in this industry as well? The reason you do not see a lot of people of color in STEM-based careers and or in the gaming industry as a part of like the STEM ecosystem is really those who have access to consoles versus those who have access to computers. This, for us, was like an issue we realized in Atlanta. We've been able to build out esports labs to then get them computers. These developers that are looking to hire minority talent that have STEM-based backgrounds. But before all that can happen, you know, people of color need to know that this is actually a thing.
Cxmmunity Media and HBCU Esports is helping to lead that diversity from a cultural standpoint to make sure that we, as a Black culture, we can put our stamp on esports and gaming. My name is Warren Davis. I'm the CFO for Cxmmunity Media Co. Now it's time to take it to another level. And to do that, you need to have all the voices that make up the community heard. And that's what Cxmmunity is looking to do.
One of the biggest disparities in the industry is access. Chris PA, one of the co-founders and chief marketing officer for Cxmmunity Media. I attended North Carolina Central University, Eagle Pride. Kickback essentially formed, a group of students. Now they could have one-on-one conversations with gaming executives within the industry. They can also compete and play live to win scholarship money. One thing that we do on our nonprofit side is like parent education. Where we're teaching the parents the ins and outs of the industry at the same time that we're teaching those students. So we have a career readiness program for the students, and we also have a career readiness, like a workshop for the parents as well, so that they can learn what their students are doing and then the opportunities that exist within the industry.
The hope is that 7th, 8th, 9th through 12th graders are like, wow, I didn't realize that I can get scholarships to compete in various esports at universities, and that's kind of like the big lens of what we're hoping will happen at the Kickback. We see like this new shift and new ecosystem being developed like literally right before our eyes.
The Kickback is...
The Kickback is...
The Kickback is...
The Kickback is...
The Kickback is 5.
The Kickback is going to be epic.
The Kickback is a place you need to be.
The Kickback is a cultural event.
It's a celebration of gaming.
Esports, hip-hop, same place, same time.
Is anything you want it to be, Black, gaming, sneakers, it's the culture.
Music, fashion, and vibes.
We got celebrities, we got influencers, we got subject matter experts.
Timothy, Isaiah, and Kenny Mason will be performing.
G Herbo will be in the building.
Looking forward to seeing everyone from Cxmmunity, Riot.
My 2 favorite schools are showing up, Howard University and Morgan State.
The Kickback is going to be transformative.
We're all here as the gaming community at large to stick together.
The Kickback is important because we have been shut inside for so long. Come out, have a great time, enjoy esports, family, and fellowship.
The Kickback is so important because it's a place where Black people can be seen for who they truly are. I'll see you there.
Welcome back, everybody. We really appreciate your patience putting up with whatever issues we got. We're fixing them on up as quickly as we can. The students are getting ready to relaunch this game. I believe we are restarting it from that 2-0 standpoint before the critical bonus round was kind of messed up by the technical issue. So I think we've got everything sorted out. It definitely was a tough issue, rewinding time. Like we said, our temporal abilities, not the greatest. Pausing time earlier was already an impressive feat enough. Reversing it, whole other factor.
Look, chronomancy is the greatest of all magics. That is well known, right? So, impressive. Again, you know, live events. It happens.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that we get to play more.
We need like the click remote, you know?
Oh man, that'd be pretty helpful. But then you risk getting like stuck in a time loop situation, right? I don't want to play that third bonus round.
Yeah, but esports events would be on time, so it's kind of worth it.
I think even esports events would find a way. They'd find a way to it. It's not an esports event unless something goes wrong. Thankfully, we are getting back into the game soon here, folks. So thank you again for sticking with us. Again, our teams. We got Howard University versus University of Georgia.
It has been a bit fun. It's definitely been hard for Howard. I think this is definitely a reality check for them. That last game, they were Cinderella heading to the ball, right? Like, they were everyone's hero after the first.
After Cinderella sprained her ankle, but then she
tripped down the stairs a few times and, put the shoes back on and got up, pulled herself up by her bootstraps, whatever, learned to code, that kind of thing.
A very different Cinderella than what I remember.
Yeah. But they won. Everybody was really happy. Fun story. This one, like I said, reality check for sure for them. It's very difficult to play against a team like this, but we know their adaptation is strong.
Yes.
It really is a question of how strong is it, because I don't think we've seen the upper limit of that either.
I mean, now you've had, a decent amount of time. You figure out
water.
You can walk through the entire like Doctor Strange universes of possibilities and see the one where you win. So I mean, you've had the time to do so. So I'm excited to see how this bonus round is going to work out once we get back into it. Reminder: it is going to be University of Georgia up 2-0. They will play their bonus round as expected. And in a bonus round like this, right, where you're carrying over that economy from the second round, you want to deal damage at the very least. Ideally get a spike plan down, start building your own economy, and really play the long game, damaging Howard's.
I mean, that was one of the big difficulties that I think every team that we've seen has had, is playing on low economy, finding those kind of wins. Howard found like one in the last game, and it was a very, very, very pivotal round for them. I think it was the also pivotal 7th round. But at the same time, it never really happened outside of that, and none of the teams have been able to show us. But what they have shown us is that they're really good at playing from ahead. I thought Howard's double operator adaptation was one of the sickest things that we've seen all day, and the way that they utilized it, changed their strategy to fit it, was really, really, really nice to see. So clearly, when these teams are ahead, they're very, very comfortable, and not just like ahead and better,
in an individual round when they're ahead. Right?
Yeah,
when you have an advantage, because it's one thing to be ahead 5-0. It's another thing to be ahead 3 players to 1 player, or 5 players to 3 players, right? These sort of tangible differences, round by round, are really what you have to look at, because, when you're up 5-0, managing your economy is not that difficult. You buy until you're out of money, right? But in an individual round, if you, lose a player early, or you use too much utility and you don't get the information or the map control that you want out of it, how you adapt and recover in an individual round, in the split-second decision-making you have to make there, that's what makes good teams great.
Yeah, and I think risk assessment is the big one that you're kind of landing on there, right? When you are behind, you've got to make a risk to try and pull yourself back into it. It's the same thing that we talked about earlier on whenever they were trying to retake B, which, granted, it was a hot minute ago, but to kind of set the scene for them, they were full ready, about to lose the site, and as opposed to trying to kind of push their way back onto it, take a risk, take some aggressive one-on-ones, they allowed Georgia to take the site, control it, and then try to play a retake scenario. But because you're down weapons in that retake scenario, on B, it's just never going to happen because you missed your opportunity to take a risk earlier. And when you're behind, you've got to measure those risks. It's the same thing when they left the Rays over at the A site. They failed, but they recognize, hey, okay, we're back a little bit. We don't have the map control that we want. We didn't get the spike down. This execute didn't quite work. We need to take a risk in order to make this play. So we're going to send less people towards this site. We're going to leave 1 player here. If that player doesn't get value at all and we just get stopped up over there, something happens, or they get found out and outnumbered if they're playing patiently, then yeah, it's not going to pay off. But we had to take a risk somewhere. We had to come back in the round at some point, and this is where we're choosing to do so. And that decisive risk-taking from Georgia was really what made it for me.
Well, and I want to see how far they'll push that line, right? One of the things that can break a team if you're not careful about it is pushing the you get a couple of those risks and a couple of them pan out, and then you go a little bit too far, too many rounds in a row, and suddenly this massive lead you've ballooned for yourselves has fallen by the wayside because you were just a little bit too ambitious. We've seen it happen more than a few times in collegiate esports store.
Damn you.
I was thinking UH Premier, those Icebox games from last year.
Oh, no, don't remind me of those.
Either way.
Forever second place.
We've definitely seen things, scenes such as that in collegiate Valorant. So considering how aggressive University of Georgia has shown us that they are capable of playing this high tempo that they showed us in the 3-ish rounds that we saw before, I want to see if it's going to be unique opportunities and identifying
when to take risks, or if they're just taking risks to take risks.
or if they're just like, hey guys, I like the W key. It's a good one. Let's press the W key. I like it.
It kind of worked from the past game. I don't think they were taking as much risk. I think they just found a tempo that really worked for them against Morgan. Here, it definitely does need to be more measured, but I haven't seen that same risk-taking, and it definitely does feel like it's almost because you're playing against a Georgia, right? Someone with that big name that has a little bit of stature. You heard that last game went 13-0, and you're like, oh no, I don't want to be that person. So you play a little more cautiously, but it is so important. Confidence is absolutely key in this game to make sure that not just you're winning round fights, but you're making correct decisions and that you're confident in them the entire way through. Because the second you start trying to, I mean, it's fine to adjust for other people's strategy, but the second you start changing your game plan just because you're scared of what might happen, then we got a problem.
Well, I'm going to steal a talking point that you bring up a lot of the time. It's scientifically proven that players play better on a win streak, right?
Yeah.
So if Georgia come back in here and they win the bonus round again, right?
Hey, we got data on this.
After this time off, then I'm feeling pretty good about Georgia's chances coming into this game. We were already feeling pretty good. They 13-0'd their opponent in the first round, right? Not giving even so much as an inch.
Howard fans, cover your ears.
Oh, no.
Imagine a world where Georgia comes through and 26-0's this.
This covering my ears doesn't work. I have headphones on.
I'm so sorry.
Unlucky. Oh, well.
But imagine that world, though.
That would
be wild.
They would cement themselves as just,
that's bragging rights forever.
It's bragging rights
how many times anybody
Georgia,
else wins. You 26-0'd.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and one of the cool things about the Kickback Cup is it gives the chance to create these storylines, these interstate within the state rivals, right? Between Howard and Georgia. Yeah. You can bet your bottom dollar that Howard got a target on their backs now after they 13-11 their first game, right?
Yeah. They want that revenge. I guarantee you, they'll get it. Like we said, CVAL's going on, Red Bull Campus Clutch going on. There's plenty of opportunities next semester as well. Pretty much all those things restarted up. There's plenty of other little leagues popping around that these teams are all participating in. I think the nice part is as well, all those leagues kind of cater to every skill level. They have opportunities for B teams to join. They have opportunities for A teams to join. No matter what level you're at, there's somewhere you can join, and there's still a prize pool. There's still a scholarship opportunity, which especially for underrepresented colleges and groups is super duper key for being able to get them the utilities that they absolutely need to perform at their highest capacity.
And what a cool event the Kickback Cup is, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to, it feels like
you're patting your own back,
tooting our own horn here, right? Oh, apparently Howard is from Washington.
Quite a minute away.
Right? I thought, that's my bad. Wow. They came a distance to play these games then. Well, that's even cooler. Then you get rivalries out of state. That's even better.
I mean, that's really what Collegiate Valorant has become. I mean, look at the likes of UH Manoa, all the way up to SJSU, all the way out to Northwood, all the way down to UCF. We've got every corner of the United States just plastered with really high-level players, and that's just fantastic for me because it continues to go up. The prize pools continue to go up. The scholarship opportunities for these students continue to go up, not just in prize pool money, but from these schools, because once you put on events like this, these are so good for these schools. You can take footage from an event. Look at the stage. It's absolutely gorgeous, right?
Come on, man.
You see this stage. You're anybody working in athletics, you see an event like this, it's like, okay, wait, I get it. I see what esports is. Maybe we should give this team a few of our resources.
And you get not just the scholarship opportunities with $5,000 in the prize pool, but you get these cool events that go even beyond esports, integrating esports into culture, right? We've got a sneaker showcase downstairs. We've got some dope concerts coming up. The one yesterday was fire, and then we have 2 later tonight after we get finished with our Valorant games, and then League of Legends later. I mean, it's just so awesome to see these built out.
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff left to come, you guys. I'm still looking for the second half of this Valorant game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a minute, yeah. But we've had a good time so far. The first game, a bit of a miracle run from Howard. If you weren't here, 13-11, a rocky start, but they showed us every bit of grit and determination. And again, what makes live events so magic?
Yeah, and again, focusing back in on our two teams here, Howard and University of Georgia, we have a little bit more, it's the eye test for Howard University, right? We have a little bit more evidence in the eye test from those 24 rounds they played in the first game when it comes to our three big buzzwords of not only the day, but just collegiate Valorant overall, right? The preparation, coordination, and adaptation. Now, preparation, probably where Howard hasn't at least shown us anything crazy as of yet, but the adaptation has been so impressive.
Yeah, their ability to do that and make sure that, in the middle of the map, they are turning things around. They're changing plans to what the opposing team basically doesn't want them to do. But that preparation, it can't be underestimated. And it's one of the big things we've been talking kind of more in general about collegiate Valorant. But when you get especially up to the upper echelon, where you're talking about teams that could very easily compete with the tier 2, tier 3s of the professional Valorant scene easily, they're counter-striding each other every single week for their games. Like, it is an intense process for them that they put a lot of work into, and I think that just goes to show the commitment that these teams have to the sport, to being athletes, right? It does take that level of preparation. It's studying, it's practicing, and it is all the things that you expect out of esports, right? You really do have to highlight that. I was somebody who played plenty of soccer in college. I played all through that. I've played on sports teams my entire life, academy teams, this, that, and the other. I went and played esports in college, and I was astounded at how similar it is. It's 5 days of practice a week, 2-hour, scrim times, plenty of ways to practice outside of just scrimming to get specific mechanics down, lots of studying tapes,
and then,
all the same things. And
they're
if you
in college too, right?
Then
they have, 20 credit hours after this. They got to do all, read their textbooks, get their homework done, prep for their exams, and still manage to show up and be some of the best Valorant players in the world.
And I think it really has become more and more worldly as we've gone on. Like, it only expands. It started out really with the collegiate Valorant spreading out pretty big, but I mean, CLOL this year was huge, and the broadcast was phenomenal. I thought the academy team did such a good job.
Well, and VAL, right?
Yeah.
They had to triple the spots in every region so that enough teams could actually sign up. They had I think it was 100.
If you missed it now, it's too late.
32. Yeah, I mean, well, for the first round, but there's 2 more after the winter one as well. So, keep an eye out for those. Riot's really just killing it. Like, again, not to toot, pat the back of anyone too hard here, but damn.
Yeah, and that just means more opportunities and making sure that we're getting representation in those places. HBCUs, any sort of underrepresented genders and everything as well on top of that has been hugely important to not just Riot, but the players as a whole. I mean, there's lots of little pockets of players. I mean, I can speak to there being discords of massive amounts of collegiate Valorant players run by collegiate Valorant players talking to one another about, hey, how do we feel about this? Are we okay with this tournament structure? How can we give some feedback to them? Then I know even Riot is getting in and talking to those community leaders specifically, and those weren't just thrown in. It wasn't like we want to make this. It was formed through the community, saying, hey, we want this to be a thing, so we're going to support it even more. It comes from the students, it comes from the organizations, it comes from the companies that help.
And a lot of it's you're talking about the guys who create these communities, not just here in person in Atlanta, but also online, right? A lot of it is these players. Right? On top of all that studying, on top of all that prep for the team, for their schoolwork, right? They're also going out and building these diverse communities, integrating that into not only their lives, but creating a field where we can have events like the Kickback Cup that present scholarships and concerts and in-person events, as well as ones online to coordinate and communicate.
Yeah, I think it also means getting eyes from a younger audience, right? The audience that are looking to get into college from high school events like the Kickback Cup that are kind of meant to be these community events where people of all ages can see. The older crowd can say, hey, what are my kids doing? And then you put them up on the stage, it's like, oh, okay, I kind of get it now, right? We got people talking over and we got the crowd cheering. It makes a lot more sense. And the younger crowd sees that and starts to say, hey, dude, that looks like a lot of fun. I play video games. I play video games, where's my scholarship? And then they go out and start looking for it because all you gotta do is contact some of these colleges. I remember just this summer, I was contacting colleges for players because, I mean, a shout out Moves moving from Canada just to go and like build the Winthrop team and make them look incredible. But like, you had to shop them around, and like there are varsity programs everywhere looking to make sure that whatever it is that you need, whatever it is that you want, whatever position that you're in financially, that they can cover those for you because they need Valorant players because Valorant is becoming huge on a collegiate scale. Oh yeah. And of course, there's plenty of talent out there. So you know, if you've got it, you might as well go for it. Contact these schools; they're looking for people all the time.
And as we're waiting for the game to start back up here, I mean, this is a little bit anecdotal, but esports as a whole is just so much on the up, right? So my mom's a teacher over in Arizona, right? And she like contacted me earlier this year and was like, "Hey, we want to make an esports program at our school, right?" And I was like, "Oh, okay, cool." There's like 1,000 kids at the school, right? I was figuring, you know, maybe 20 kids would show up or so, right? They had an interest survey, no warning, like 1 day warning. Over 40 kids showed up. Wow. Over 40. It's looking like 60 to 80 at this random middle school are going to show up for this esports program. I mean, just all over the place. It's so cool to see esports built from the ground up. And that it leads to events like this awesome Kickback Cup. We're told that we are getting into the game. Thank you all so much for sticking with us here at the Kickback Cup. Let's get back to Howard University versus the University of Georgia.
All right, y'all champions for holding on with us. Give it up for Howard and, of course, the University of Georgia for putting up with all that. They're doing a fantastic job up there. Round number 3, though, is being replayed, and we are all set to kick things off.
All right. Hope the players, look, we were talking about those hand warmers earlier. I hope that the players have been keeping their hands
warm.
Extra. Back into the game we go, and already University of Georgia are set up to go run it back straight back to the B site. A little bit of an adaptation though. That caught info on one.
We're throwing the dog out. Not too much still. 3 stack over here for the opposing side. Tobo on the critical angle though. Needs to make sure they don't get utility out of this corner.
Nice chamber TP away. Does take him to the other side, right? That's the one very cheeky rotate TP that you can set up. Here comes the execute. Nice catch from Dial.
All right.
And Kenny Cosmic swinging around. What a beautiful adaptation that we're already seeing from Howard University.
I mean, it's looking good. Still not over yet, though.
One enemy remaining.
Not to be doubted.
Spike
down goes
down
Drip Flavors, and it seems like Pringles is likely to follow.
Yeah,
they're watching this. Yeah,
that's a hard fight at that range too. I mean, good on Pringles for trying to pull out the headhunter at the very end there. You're more likely to win that fight if you can find the one tap, but not going to happen this time around. It's amazing what happens when you have all 5 players able to actually play, right? A stark difference from Howard University's round that we had to reset compared to this one. That was a very
And again, an important result, right? You stop the bonus from going through one more round of win, flipping the economy on its head, making things real bad for yourself. Now, economy is even. This is the round that we're really watching for either of these teams to come ahead of one another in terms of the cash flow that's going into their pockets. Setup, though, defenders looks relatively similar.
But now, Howard University have proved that they have what it takes to stop those hard executes, right? So you're seeing this adaptation, a little bit more of a default prod all the way across the map from University of Georgia.
I did like that peek from Ballin,
I'm going to get one. I mean, yeah, it's good to go for that for info, right? Because if you don't see anyone there, you can go for the quick rotate onto the other side.
I mean, not just for Ballin. We talked about taking control early against Georgia.
That too.
And even if it fails, the fact that you're trying that tells me that, okay, we're finding that confidence. We're trying to take control of these rounds early as best we can.
This is smart, though.
This game's going to shift, though. They've thrown down the smokes. Yeah, they've made this look very much like an A push, like they were trying to push off the back of that pick. Exactly. But the real push is coming over at B, and unfortunately that Brimstone there, very lonely.
Yeah, there's nothing Dial can do. Dial's
4v5 here, too, is tough.
Actually tries to poke out and disrupt the execute a little bit. Gonna get punished for that, too.
Now without your controller, though, how do you retake?
These 3v5s, yeah, it's gonna be really not.
I guess you got two. You need a spare.
A god tier guiding light from Kenny Cosmic here. So the Trailblazer is available. You can try to get info on the player holding close. You are going to spot Shrooms. Beautifully timed Molotov, though, to stop the push in behind that Trailblazer.
Not looking too good. We were advocating for a save earlier, and I'm going to go ahead and do it again here. This does seem like an optimal situation. But now Shrooms locks it down. Shrooms been playing that angle really well, though. I mean, it's only been a few rounds, but Shrooms have been on it virtually every single time. It looks fantastic.
University of Georgia looks so good when they have control, right? We talked in our extended break about how good the teams today have looked playing from an advantage in any individual round. I mean, you know, Georgia, they got that one pick at the very beginning, and they played the round flawlessly from there, right?
Yeah.
Baited the A site perfectly, used just enough utility to sell the fake towards A that they were staging for an execute on that site, and then perfect rotation back over. They caught dialed, and it was so easy for them to set up on that post plant.
Another default coming out. Ooh, no peek out of bathrooms this time. They hear.
VAL can actually retest this.
They do it again, and they will. Yeah, making sure that not too much ground is gained here. And look, because you're holding it, this has become an expensive endeavor for UGA. Unfortunately, losing your control on that side map certainly isn't going to help things. Shrooms, I mean, flying in, quite literally. Oh, no! Oh, Doyle, the collateral!
Yeah, nice little spray there from Doyle. Thankfully, I mean, there's no money invested here.
Still hurts, still stings.
Hurts a little bit of the pride more than anything else. Nice start from University of Georgia. I mean, already 4 rounds on the board. And this is going to be an important one for Howard. You know, in our first match of the day, Howard, after going down 0-5, they were able to take attack pause and recover. But if you lose this round here, you're not going to have a ton of time to make that same adaptation. And something interesting I've noted, I haven't actually seen the toxic screen used to much effect thus far. I haven't even seen it on the minimap in some of these rounds at all.
Let's take a look. Just see what it does.
I think it's going to be a late deployment, yeah. Covering short and hookah. This can be a little bit dicey, right? Because you don't get full control of hookah out of this, and you don't fully stop an A push.
Okay, Viper man.
Look, I'm telling you, I will always wax poetic about these Viper angles.
Face your fear!
Yeah, I think that's a positive and negative about every Viper wall on this map. This round, though, is important.
Ouch.
This is the buy round, but the execute from UGA particularly strong, and the util not used quick enough by Howard. I mean, we saw earlier on, you were talking about that one Molotov that cut off the dog from going through. You really do have to match util with util, not just in general, but early. When the enemy team is throwing it out, you need to have it because a team like UGA,
sure.
the second one of those abilities comes through the smoke, a player's coming with it.
Tashid at least recovers a rifle. Can try to deal some damage to UGA, keep their economy in a place where you could theoretically catch up to it, but not even going to be able to find Doyle. I mean, it was a pretty heavy investment in terms of ultimates from UGA in that round, right? So not all is lost for Howard University, but UGA definitely showing us how they were able to get such a dominant win in their first game of the day.
They have a game plan, and clearly it is coming to fruition. I think the most important part, you mentioned them winning with those ultimates, but that's a very good round to win with ultimates, right?
Yeah.
The second the other team starts to get back up on their feet, you just hit them with a haymaker, right? The second they start to buy weapons again, it's just right back down onto the ground. They're onto pistols. A scout here for dialed. He's gonna make some magic happen. No long peek, though. And a different Viper wall this time. Kill both Hookah and Belong. Unfortunately, that control seems pretty tentative in the face of 5 members of UGA.
Yeah, I mean, there's only one player to it be right now, right?
We talked about, though, when you throw up a smoke, there's got to be a threat on the other side.
Definitely, definitely. The Lurk's going to get caught out too, Tashid. Actually using the Poison Orb to sneak past the trademark. There's no one in position to hear that from UGA. They are going to use the Orbital Strike to get themselves some control, but Dial with 1 headshot. This is actually a decent position for Howard. I mean, down this many guns, it's hard. Ooh.
Oh, that was what they were counting on. The flank.
Such good awareness from Pringles there. I mean, I think there's so many Chamber players who would get caught off by the fact that their trademark didn't trigger, but what good presence of mind.
That's what well, not only is there like a potential for a super long range or whatever. Oh my god, the movement from Shrooms!
That was a tasty shot.
You can't do that to somebody. Oh, nice tap though.
1v1.
All right, let's see what you can get done, Kenny. Show the crowd, get them riled up. Dog's out. Not a defuse insight. Peeks with the dog. Love that timing from Pringles. Yeah, and also that presence of mind that you were talking about. I think at this point, oh look, it's bind. It's the same trademark every round. It's the same trademark every single round. Not only does every single controller player understand that's there and how to smoke it, but also at this level, once you get to the point that UGA is at, I expect the chamber to also be thinking about that.
And Pringle's just showing, I mean, in that round, how intelligent they are as a player, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned it a little bit, but I just want to double down on how smart that last swing was. You know the Seekers is coming to find you, has revealed your position over and long, so no reason not to swing out and stop the spike plant right as it's about to make contact with you, but you still have the ability to use your gun.
Hey, Howard stopped at 26-0, though.
And that's true. Howard did stop at 26-0.
Nah, they got a long way to go. We know they can fight back from here. We've seen them in this position before. I'm not going to doubt them yet. Cabbage is out. Some great entry ultimates here for UGA. Using the fact that they're getting so many more kills overall to their advantage in the ultimate economy. Now the post plant in. This is a much more retakeable site. 3v5, it's certainly a
3v5, no ultimates.
Let's see what Ballin can get done here. Takes out the fade. Blind doesn't quite hit. Swings off it. Shots don't quite connect. Peeking into two players here is very, very hard. Takes a swing. Oh! They had their gun down! Filet mignon, unfortunately. Doesn't catch timing, but does still catch the kill. 1v3 here. See if this guy can make another bit of magic happen. Dog's out. Wow, that was a generous stun on Toba. Still does manage to connect. I like the name, though. They got the TikToks on the... you know the...
Yeah, perfect.
You have to make plays with a name like that.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, Filet Mignon kind of just lucked out, realistically speaking. The heal there, very ambitious.
Nah, dude. When the deflector shields are on, the deflector shields are on.
But honestly, it just goes to show, I mean, you get a little bit of that buffer from how well UGA are able to set up in these post plans.
Yeah.
They've hardly lost a player entering in onto the site most time. They use their utility so... just sparingly enough to get every single position they want to set up. You can play these angles 2v1, 2v2 a lot of the time. This is spicy. Hello?
5 stack, how long?
Oh, the showstopper didn't get Doyle, though. It was just a bit long.
That's mean.
That's a spike, though. Hang on. How would have the spike and they recovered a rifle?
Oh, boy. We have gotten ourselves into a predicament here, haven't we?
They lost the rifle, and
what do you do? You still got 4 members down long with, like, submachine guns and pistols.
How did that flash not get dialed? It doesn't matter.
I love that smoke by UGA. That's going to let them recover.
You have to do that smoke, right?
No. Don't back off now, Howard. You can't play the rest of it. You're down util now. Oh, man. This is such an awkward situation for both teams. There's not a right decision, I think, in that situation.
No.
Oh, and UGA are giving them the beans, too. They're going to give it right back to where it was coming from.
I mean, it's all on Toba, right? Can Toba find this first pick with the headhunter?
Yeah.
It is a really tall ask. You only have 2 bullets in.
And there's a dog
as well.
Nice.
Not even going to have a chance. Beautiful Trailblazer. Oh. Oopsie.
No, that wasn't even like...
I mean, you were done there anyways.
I mean, there was barely any time to take a second shot. I think it was actually a slow from the gun that stopped him from going back around that corner.
Yeah,
he wasn't actually standing still. He was just moving really slowly. So, absolutely no problem.
Keep in mind for anyone who maybe this is your first time watching Valorant, if you get hit with a bullet, your movement speed drops dramatically, right?
Yeah.
So no chance to get back around that corner for Toba. Another beautiful round from UGA. And you know, we talked in the first game about how, like, even if you win a lot of rounds in the row, but they're close, you don't necessarily build up that economy. UGA built up an economy. They're going to be buying for the rest of the half, even if Howard wins 3 in a row.
Yeah, now they're working with some, like, trust fund stuff right about it now. Richie Rich over here. We got 5 of them.
They got that old, like, oil baron money.
They laid down the first train tracks west to east, you know? Oh, man. And they have ultimates on top of that. In case they wanted to not spend more money, the Chamber can pop that 2-4s. Howard do have a good opportunity. This is an ultimate that we see, the Viper's Pit, often used pretty poorly on the defending side. I'm a big fan of just throwing it out, man. Like, the second you feel that pressure, don't be afraid of popping it. It's not going to be relevant this round, as now they're retaking again to that B side. Great entry by Shrooms, they're flying over top. Trades out for 1, gets the information, but Kenny Cosmic stays alive. Catches the repeak off them, and now they're pushing the Viper's wall. Not enough damage on the other end. We talked about having that threat, and I mean, Kenny certainly was a threat, but 3v2 is not a 1 scenario yet on that B side. Holding the strong angle, Toba is waiting for the peak. Pringle swings it just wide enough to dodge the shot, and Doyle cleans up some clean gunplay. Those were just straight up 1-on-1s, 1-on-2s.
Yeah, UGA punishing Howard there, who, you know, in that 3v2, Howard, I don't think they make the wrong call there, pushing for more, trying to catch the timings on the UGA players who are maybe floundering a little bit, but such a close angle on the operator over an elbow, and then just beautiful shots to take down the 2 entering from backside. So great work from the University of Georgia again. Only 2 rounds left in the half. it's looking dire for Howard.
Tough stuff. Second half's another opportunity, though, with that pistol round restarting the economy. See if they can get done. They've gone for a little bit of a half buy here.
Tour de Force available.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow,
so
they
are
used those ults.
First shot doesn't quite connect. Doyle with an opener onto ball, and it's not looking particularly great. Viper's Pit still in tow, though, and it was spent on B. UGA are sending things to A. There's a 4-stack here, but no stronghold, no static defenses in place to stop them from making that initial push. In fact, Shrooms has literally reached the back of the point, despite there having been 4 members on it.
And look how clean and disciplined this post plant is, right? UGA, they don't go hunting. They don't go like...
No, they go to their positions. Yeah. They've done this 100 times. They've practiced this.
They know exactly what's going to give them
about.
the best chance.
Yeah.
Right? Hard to retake with that Tour de Force, too. Ooh. Okay, Shrooms not quite able to take down Dialed. And this is a situation where you have to go for it, right? Dialed's been clean with that Marshall. There have been some tasty headshots. And not an unwinnable round. Okay, now it's unwinnable.
Dial.
Dial doing what they can.
Don't talk like that. Dial really is trying. Knows where it is. Just one player.
The Molly.
Oh, nice timing by Drip Flavors as well. You can't. If I see a Brim diff in chat, I'm gonna lose. You're not. After what Dial just did to the entire rest of your team, you're not allowed to say something
almost
like
just
that.
1v5.
Dial really tried.
Come on.
Credit where credit's due. Howard's got some heart, but UGA, stoic as they are, just hold things down.
Really impressive stuff from UGA right there. And I mean, you know, that was a 4v2. A lot of teams would, you know, go for a little bit too much, bite off more than they could chew there, but how UGA pulling back, even using their lineups with the mollies, right, using ults. And giving a lot of respect in this last round of the half, too. Seekers, Tour de Force immediately popped.
I mean, they have all the ultimates in the world. It's a perpetual motion machine, this UGA economy. Shrooms, ambitious.
Yeah.
Does mean a man advantage now for Howard, but they do manage to recover the spike. Good play here by Taishi. Takes down Filet Mignon. And just leaves. I like this. This is the same exact thing that we were seeing earlier from the Yoru, right? Going on that flank, putting pressure on them, making them understand that something's there, that they're going to have to check all their angles, and then leaving. That's not risking anything, and you get a guaranteed value. Especially when you're ahead, that's big.
Great way to buy time. Howard, they got a lot on their defensive side on Ascent for our first match. You know, Ballin was the one who pulled off something like that, right? This time it's Taishid doing such a good job. And now, I mean, Georgia, there's no good option, right?
Yeah.
There's four defenders left. You're going into a 2v2 no matter where you go. And Dial with this
I kind of believe in him, though.
This jump peek's great. This jump peek is going to spot UGA. The question is, can Dial get to a position where you can still threaten the site afterwards? Still one smoke available, too, so how are you ever going to get out of here? Have to invest the ult.
I mean, they know the Brimstone's there behind the site. It's just how long can he live? Really the question. I love that shot through the wall by Pringles. Not having to swing that angle wide where the defenders in their spawn could cover it. Instead, now pulling out the operator. They've got a long angle to work with. This 2v2 spike is down. Is now Howard playing from behind and peeking into this operator. I mean, it's all about timing. If maybe you catch it while Pringle's not looking, but if you cross this Pringles, you're as good as dead.
There's the itch in the back of Pringle's mind. Has the Viper still stayed behind? No, now spotted. And now you just hold this angle forever.
I mean, they're baiting the shots. Oh my god, they've played this beautifully, dancing between the two of them. The slow field from the Tour de Force, enough to keep him away. But that buys valuable time for the remaining player of UGA. Toba has got to stick it. It's right into the sightlines of Doyle. It was really well played by Howard.
So much
Re-peeking that off so many times, yeah.
I mean, so much trust for UGA. The fact that your chamber was just able to keep looking at backside, right? You know, that's the most powerful angle for the Tour de Force to be holding right now. You don't want him to have to be worrying about hookah, about long, about elbow, right? So Doyle is the one constantly spinning his head, and there's so much trust on Doyle to get at least good communication out. Hey, they're pushing X direction, they're pushing Y direction. Just one of the reasons that UGA is doing so well. Now we swap sides. Howard, they're going to have an unbelievable attack. It all starts with the pistol. Howard, they've struggled to get these pistols thus far. I believe in them, Dort.
I mean, they're searching for that collegiate 9-3 curse that is so prevalent.
It's not 9-3 right now.
It's not 9-3. And yeah, unfortunately, 2 more rounds definitely would have been a lot.
Get him! Hunt him down!
Oh, Drip Flavors. Especially with that excellently timed paint shell coming out from the Rays. Ace, it would be the first one.
They're
First
both
one
right there.
Come on, Drip Flavors.
Oh, solid flash.
Peeks it anyways. Kenny Cosmic, though, playing it very wisely. I cursed it. I started talking about the Ace too early.
You started talking about the Ace
That's my
way
bad.
too early.
Hey, Drip Flavor, just hit me up afterwards. You know, that's on me.
Teleport's ready.
Now what do Howard do, though? I mean, a guiding light will recharge, right? So you wait for your guiding light to come back up. You hold on to this very tenuous map control that you have, and then you try to go back to the site. Try to hit that perfect guiding light, trade out very well, and then use that to snowball a pistol. Still pretty healthy, too, so that's at least one thing going right for Howard right now, but it's not like UGA are lacking in health or players.
It's all about those first shots, though. The one thing you do have here as 2 players is somewhat the element of surprise, right? It's very hard to track you across the map with so few members. Doyle, though, is ready for that teleport. They've got that map on lockdown. Cosmic, flash, peek. Doyle was playing counter flash. That was really smart. The fact that Cosmic won that was not a factor of the flash. It was simply just out-aiming him.
Yeah, knife out, caught by the flash.
Good riddance.
I had a team flash, too. Shroom's sitting in the corner like, dude, I wanted to get the frag. Come on.
It's all about the stats at that point. Bragging rights. Match point, though, 12-1 winner of the day. The taker of the lion's share of that $5,000 prize pool could be crowned in the next round. It is 12-1. UGA just need one more to seal it. They've got money. They've got not ultimates. Thankfully, not ultimates.
If they had ultimates in round number 2, I would be
They've got a whole lot of confidence, though. Let's take a look at how that shakes out.
Howard, position toward, don't. Oh, the Page Shell Seize combo. Someone got caught. And that's one already down. Balling hitting the floor.
Yeah, that's been a mainstay of this phase raids stuff for a while, but it still hurts to see every time.
But again, that's that coordination and preparation that we're talking about from UGA.
Set plays, man.
Right? Those set plays are so strong. And what a good read to recognize, yo, they just tried B. They're not going to go there again. They've got to force up. Let's just play aggressive. But not too aggressive, right? You're not giving up much as UGA right now. That is a wide angle from Shrooms. You can't get caught there.
On the offhand, Shroom. Good for one. Can they lock down bathrooms quickly enough? The smoke comes out. They need to, Howard, I think it's pushed through time. You've got to find this duel to outnumber them. No, don't walk through with you two. Oh, goodness, they're sprayed down. Drip Flavors cleans them up. UGA in phenomenal, fantastic fashion. One round off the 26-0. A big win for them. Like we said, the lion's share of that $5,000 prize pool. Huge congratulations.